Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Jenna. This is Apple Dolly Creations. Let me know when you're here. Say hi. This is video number five in our doll series. So hop on. Let me know that you're here. Trying to get myself pulled up over here. And we're going to get started. Okay. Maybe. You never know. Okay, there I am. Okay, so we'll see what happens today. So say hi when you hop on. We are going to finish up our little baby, and we're going to recap some things, and we're going to make a vest that was in the printouts that you could get from my Telegram app. So if you haven't hopped over there, all the patterns is there, the doll, the clothes, everything. So this will be our, hi Mom, this will be our last video of this series. So we're just going to recap some things. I'm going to go over a few things. We're going to finish her up. I see you, Mom. So I'm just going to turn you around. Okay. So I changed a couple of things. I took out the embroidery floss that we gathered around her pantaloons, and I put that green ribbon that we used on her collar around there. We're going to put some buttons on her. I'm going to thread this needle with this thread because we're going to do something with her collar. Maybe. I'm going to thread it. There we go. So stick it there. Poor little girl just stabbed her. Hi, Brenda. Oh, okay. You're great. You can always watch a replay. But this is what we've done so far. And I painted the other shoe. Hi, Lisa. Welcome. So the only thing I changed was I painted the other shoe and changed the embroidery floss to ribbon. Now this is 1/8 inch. It's real easy to do to gather her pantaloons there. Hi, Jody. We're going to put a bow in her hair. So I just cut ripped two, these are 2-inch wide by whatever the width of that piece of fabric I had. Let me see. About 14 inches long. So we're going to make a bow, stick in her hair. So Barb had asked how I did her cheeks. So I'm going to show you what I used. These are the paint markers that I buy. They're by Express Yourself, Walmart, my Walmart, they're back where the craft paint is sold. But this is what they look like. And they come in, well, mine carries just like primary colors. I'm sure you can get other colors, but I usually just do black, white, brown and red. That's what I normally do. So all I do, let me get a scrap of fabric. Got a scrap of muslin. And I just take water. Let me get a brush because I know I'll spill this. This is water I use in my iron. And I wet. I have paint falling off my brush, or the handle. I just wet the area that I want. Now I do wet a bigger area that I want. And then I just take, you have to shake these, and make a few dots. See, just like that. Hi, Stella. And then I take my wet brush and just go over it. So sometimes you have to do it a couple times. So and rub it. And see, that's how I got, just by putting a little bit of this paint marker. And that's how I got her cheek. So that will dry. See, yeah, you can see the brown mark around it. That dries clear. And that's the result when it's dry. Because when her cheek was wet, it looked just like that. You could see the wet mark. But it dries without any watermark on there. Hi, Nia. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So, the first time I did that and I saw that, I thought, oh no, I just ruined her face. But when it dried, and you can dry this with a hair dryer or a heat tool, but I just always let them dry by themselves. But that's the result. So Barb had asked yesterday how I did that, and I explained it, so I thought I would just show it today. So when she hops on, she'll find it. So what I'm doing is I have this ribbon that we gathered that lace with, and I have a needle on it. I was digging through my buttons, and I found this one. Isn't that pretty? Now, it's a shank button. That means it's got this part on the back that you put your needle through to sew it on something. But I'm going to fish it onto this ribbon. So I'm doing one way, and I'm going to thread the other tie. Maybe. There we go. Oops, I put it in and pulled it back out. Oh, for heaven's sake. Okay. So I hear thunder outside. So, okay, I got it on. So I fished this one through one way, and I'm taking this one through the opposite way. So see how that's going to be? I'm going to have a tail on both sides of this button. So the one coming this way is over here, and the one coming this way is over there. And I want to get her collar out of the loop there. And I'm going to make a bow. And I'm going to make a bow over the top of this button. I like that. So then I'm going to cut this tail. But when I do this, I always go back and make another tie. That way it's knotted and it's not going to come loose. So unless I am following a pattern or a picture, how I start my doll, because I already have doll bodies made. And if any of you don't want to make a doll body, shoot me a message, because I sell these stuffed and unstuffed. But I start with my fabric, and I let my fabric tell me what I'm going to do. So oh, thank you. I'm glad you're liking this. So there she is. So last night we made one of these little bows for her shoe, but I've made several more. Now when I'm using a print fabric, I pick a color in the fabric and I try to use all the accents that color. So that's one way you can choose what you want your item to look like. So I just got a whole bunch of red and green buttons I pulled out, and we're going to glue these on her shoes. And I don't know if we're going to put a red button or a green button. What do you think, red or green? Let's glue these little bows on and then we'll decide. So let's put your foot up here. And I'm just putting a tiny little dab of glue. Did I have it? Oh yeah, I got it on. I was thinking, oh, I didn't turn it on. Just a tiny dab. Now, if you're doing something really, really tiny, really, really delicate, use a toothpick and put your glue on your toothpick and do it that way. So that, because sometimes these will shoot out a big glob, and you don't need a big glob. You just need a tiny dab. Red button. So I'm going to pull the vest pattern out, and we're going to do that so you can see how, because we used the vest pattern to make the top of one of the other dresses that we did. So we're going to use it actually as a vest pattern today. So you can take your patterns and you can adapt them. Once you get going on this, I'm just putting some glue on this button. You can change your patterns. You can take the skirt of one and add it to the bodice of another. And most doll patterns there are very simple. They're nothing really complicated that you have to be an advanced sewer. Everything I did here, if you can sit down at a sewing machine and sew a straight line, you can do this doll. So I just took this is 2 inches wide, and I'm just going to make a bow, and we're going to put it in her hair. Now this is just a strip of ripped fabric. Hi Donna, how are you? Hi Ronnie. So all I'm doing is pulling out these loops. And I appreciate all of you hopping on. I wish I could go live this time every day. But you know, work interferes. So, let me flip this around too. There. So we want it like that. Or we want it like that. So how do we want this? So we can stick a button in the middle of this too. So I found this really pretty. It's glittery. So we could do that. Oh, you love it. Thank you. Oh, hi, Joanne. I'm glad you're liking her. And I'm glad that all of you have been hopping on, and I hope you've been learning something. So we're going to flip it. Ouch. Stick your finger in the glue. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. And we're going to put that on the side of her head. So matching up your fabrics. That was one of the questions. I got glue all over my finger. It is pretty. I got this from Michelle's. Oh, she's a crafter. Pretty Pieces by Michelle. Yeah, I'm going to try and find some more of this. This is a real heavy cotton. It's really nice fabric. So I'm going to try and find some more of that. So we're going to move all these buttons out of the way. We have 2 more bows, so let's stick them on her wrists. Hi, Colette. Thank you. So it's all these little details, the buttons, the little tiny bows, all that stuff that really brings your doll to life. But when you're picking out your fabric, and it's a print, and I mostly use prints, pick out a color, especially if it has multiple colors like this, like there's a green, there's black, oh, there's actually 2 shades of green, there's a tan. So pick out 1 or 2 colors from your fabric and use all your details to match that. Now you can use this, I would say this is a check. You can put a floral with this, you can put a solid, you can do a stripe. So I know a lot of times people say, oh, you can't put stripes and plaids together. You can, and it will look really cute. Like we could have done her pantaloons in a stripe. But it's your doll that you're making, and you do what you want to it. And I always just sit down and I pick my fabric and I just start doing. And as I do it, the doll tells me what she wants. And she talks to me. Oh, thank you, Ronnie. Now, those of you that do not sew and you want to make a doll, you can do this whole thing, the body, the clothes, everything, with hand sewing it. It's going to take you a little longer. Just make sure your stitches are really close, and you can do this by hand. If you don't have a machine, you don't want to do a machine, you can do this. So there is our pretty little girl. So let's make a vest. We're not putting a vest on her, but I gave you the pattern, so let's do it. So I do have a scarecrow that I need to dress. Let me get these buttons out of my way because they're going to end up all over the floor. And I'm going to grab the pattern. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm glad, Brenda. So there's the pattern. So let's get the vest out of here. And I already have them cut somewhere in here. I should have grabbed it beforehand. So the first day, you got the body. You got 2 sheets, arm and legs, the body, and I gave you that little nose because it's on her face. I drew it on there, so I gave you that as a separate piece. Day 2, you got 2 reference sheets for faces. That's one of them. This is the one that I usually have sitting up here and watch, that I just reference. So I have these also cut out. And this is one face. And this is the other one. Now this one I Googled, just ragdoll faces, and that's what popped up. But this one I've had for a long time. Okay, so let's get, where's that at? There we go, there it is. This is it. When you cut it, it says cut on a fold. So this is what you have when you open it up. And somebody asked where I get these envelopes. I get them on Amazon. I can post a link. They're like 50 for, I want to say 20 bucks. They have a little closer there. I use these for all my patterns. And when I sell my patterns, you get the pattern in one of these too. So it's really nice. You can just close it up and there it is. Okay, so we have our pattern and it says to cut on fold. So this is flannel that I'm using. I think it was a part of a shirt. And it says to cut it on a fold. So you need two of these. You need a front and a back. So what I'm going to do is I have my fabric folded. I'm just going to fold this in half. See, fold it in half. So I'll have a front and a back. And I'm going to cut both pieces at one time. Hi, Donna. Welcome. Hi, Teresa. I don't know if I said hi to you ladies, but there you go again. Now you can lengthen this. You can shorten it. If you need a bigger vest pattern, let me show you. If you need a bigger vest pattern, let me grab a doll here. We've been using Frankie all week, so we'll use him again. Hold this up to the middle of his body, the pattern. And see, this one will fit him. But if this is too short, not wide enough, hold this up to the front of his body and look on this side of his body and see how much more of a vest you need. And then just move this that much and then just cut this bigger. So when you open this up, oops, I didn't even cut that in half. So when you open this up, I'm all thumbs today. See, this will fit him. But if it isn't wide enough, because you want it to go, I go a little beyond what I would think his side would be on both sides. See, that's a sewn seam. I want it to, get your arm up there. I want it to come a little beyond, like almost 3/4 of an inch, because unless you want this really fitted, I'd like them to be a little bigger. So see, this comes, get your arm up there. This comes over. So where you want to add more dimension is right in the center. So when you have this folded, line it up with the underarm and the shoulder seam and see how much more you need to add. And then when you lay your pattern out on your fabric, instead of laying this right on the fold, come over that many inches that you need. Does that make sense? Oh, Stella, I'm sorry you are having such an issue. I had that for 2 weeks and I just was going crazy because I could not comment on anybody. I don't know, Brenda. We haven't named her yet. I haven't thought about a name. Hi, Regina. Hi, Debbie. So if you need this to be bigger, just figure out how much bigger you need it. And when you lay this down on a fold, just come over that far. And then what I would do is I would square this off to decide where the neckline needed to be, because you can just cut the neckline in later. But I would square this off and then come down and then move this over and make the neckline. So when you're enlarging the pattern, you can always make this neckline bigger, but you can't make it smaller once you cut your fabric. So always go on caution and cut it a little bit when you're changing the pattern. Cut it a little bit and then put it on your doll. And then if it's too tight around their neck, then cut just a tiny bit more. I hope you guys understood that. So I need to cut this in half because I cut it on a fold. Okay, so we used this as a bodice on the one dress we made. So we made 2 dresses. This is one because we took this and we added a pleated skirt. So now we're going to use it as a vest. So I'm going to take one of these, and the neckline is exactly the same. Now we're going to change this neckline just a tad. So we're going to take just one of these, and this is going to be our front, right sides together, which that's the pretty side of your fabric. The wrong side of your fabric is the back or the not printed side. And we're going to cut this completely in half. As you know, a vest has 2 sides. Okay? We're going to put this back together. Now, vests usually have a V-neck. So we're just going to come down. See, that's the center. So we're going to come up a little bit, and we're just going to take the slightest V out of this. And when I get to the top, I'm just going to curve it. Do you see that? Just curved it just slightly. Hi, how are you? Welcome. So then here, we're going to put Frankie back aside because he's been our model all week. So the side that we cut open, this has that curve. We're going to match it up. Right sides together. And this is what you should have. And we're going to pin the shoulders. And we're going to make sure our sides are lined up. That's our cut edge. And I'm just going to put a pin. Now you can, if you're doing a scarecrow, you might want patches on here. If you want patches on it, I would sew the patches on before you sew all this together. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up the side and stop because this is our armhole, and we're going to go across the shoulder on both sides because we don't want to sew that. That's where the arm's going through and come down. And that pattern was in with the clothes. This is what it looks like. I don't know what side I have written, but this is what it looks like. And it says place it on the fold. Now once you cut this out, you can actually just lay this on your fabric and cut it out all the way around and not place it on a fold. I just find it easier to place something like this on a fold of the fabric and cut it. So let's bring this over and we're going to sew. Always back stitch, because if you don't, your stitching is going to come apart. And yes, you can do this by hand also. Now there's a lot of detail that you can do to these vests, and I'm going to show you some of it. Because you, like I've said all week, what do you want it to look like when you're done? Now a scarecrow, that's what this vest is going on. I want to look kind of ratty, kind of primitive. So I'm going to put patches on this. I'm going to grunge this fabric, even though it's brown and black. I'm still going to grunge it. Now you can grunge before, you can take your fabric and grunge it before you make it, or you can do it after. Sometimes I make my doll bodies and then I throw them in the grunge, and then sometimes I grunge my fabric and then I make my dolls. But if I'm using the spices, I never put the fabric that has the spices under my needle, because those spices are going to come off and go down into your machine, and you're going to have issues. So if you're using the spices in the grunge, do it after you have your dolls made, or whatever it is that you're making, your pumpkins, whatever. Don't put those spices through that machine. So there we go. We have our vest. So what else can we do to this? Let me get this all turned out. So you can take a small piece of chain, like for jewelry, and you can put, let me grab some buttons. You can put some buttons there and put a small piece of chain underneath the buttons and sew these on. Ask you how you know. Oh no, Regina. We're going to tear this apart. This has not been torn apart and cleaned in probably a month. Now, as much sewing as I do, I try to clean my machine twice a month, and this has not been cleaned in a month. So I'm going to do a video when I clean this, and I'm going to rip it all apart so you all can see all the parts that you can actually take off of this machine, and you can put it back together. So you can take a little piece of chain. You can take jute and go underneath both of those after you get it on your doll. You may or may not. You can put buttons. You can take, I don't have scrap fabric, so we're going to use muslin because I have lots of it sitting here. You can just take some squares of fabric and do patches and sew that on. You can take a fabric and make pockets and put pockets on. It's what look do you want to go? What look do you want? You can do all four. You can cut the back in half and do all four pieces of the vest in a different pattern or different fabric. Well, I don't have my black embroidery floss, so we have green. We're going to go with that because it's a scarecrow. He doesn't have to, his clothes don't have to match. Now, when I open one of these, I save my old spools that ribbon come on, or thread spools, and I wrap, because these get really tangled. I know they sell things that you can put your embroidery floss on, but you know, I am all for using what you have. Oh, there's my in, and I'm looking for it. So we're going to now, this needle is not my normal embroidery needle, so, oh, there it is. Let me grab it. I have a monster needle that I use when I'm doing this because it's got a really big eye, because my eyes are really bad. So even with my glasses on, that's why I have so many lights in the window open, and let me get all these strands together. Sometimes it's just easier to fold it in half and then thread your needle. My granddaughters talked me into these nails, and they're going because they are so much in the way. Y'all that wear nails, I don't know how you do it. Now, these are my natural nails. I didn't have them done. Okay, so we're just going to take a couple lengths of this. Now, there's all kinds of decoration that you can do just by using embroidery floss. You can just do a running stitch around the entire thing. Let's go up one side. We're not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you examples So just do a running stitch, and you see I don't have any marks on here, so that all of the width of this is the same. I just do a running stitch. And you can do this all the way around, which gives this another look. Can you see that? Let me knot this again. So see how fast I made that vest? It doesn't have to be complicated. So what we can do, now you can do this on your machine. If your machine, you can adjust the stitches really wide. We're going to do a zigzag stitch. Whoops, I pulled that straight through. I'm glad. I don't know why I'm... Oh, I'm glad you did it. Yes. So what I'm doing is I'm going at an angle, and I don't have any marks on here, so that these are the same. So I'm going up, and then I'm taking my needle and I'm angling it to come back down. See how that's angled? So it went in there, came up here, went down there. So now I'm going to angle this one. And you can do this really fast. I'm going slow, but you can do this really fast because you just have a length of your embroidery floss. So when I get to the end, if I went all the way around the whole vest, we're just doing half. When I got to the end, I'm taking my needle and going straight down. See that? So now I'm going to turn it this way. And now where every one of these are angled, I'm going to go across it. And I'm going to take my needle and go at an angle, and I'm going to come out between the next two stitches. See that? We're making X's. Oops. Now see, I did that wrong. So we're just going to go this way. We're going to do our X's a little backwards, but you want to make X's. Let's get back on track. Coming out between the top of the X's. And then go across. But you can make all kinds of designs. You can do flowers. You can do flowers. Simple, easy flowers. I am not a hand embroiderer. I have proved that 100 times. My needle is really big and it's making big holes for the knot. Okay, so we're going to make a knot. I brought my thread through. I'm holding it between my fingers. And this, I do this sometimes for eyes. You've seen me do this for eyes. And I'm going right back down, right beside where the thread came up. See, right there's the thread. I'm going right beside it and I'm pulling this down. And pulling it through. And sometimes you just have to wiggle with it to make this knot. See, we've made a knot. Now come right back up, almost, not in the same hole, but almost. Hold your thread. See how I did that? I came out up here at the knot, I came down, and I'm going right back up, right beside that knot, or right beside where that thread came out. And how long do I want my petal? That's where you bring your needle out. So see, I'm going through the loop. And we've made a flower petal. So go right back down in, and that will, right at the bottom of the petal. And that's going to lock that petal in. And I'm taking my needle and coming right back up, right beside that knot. So the knot is the center of our flower. So we've made a petal. Come down. I'm holding it with my thumb. So I need to lock this in. So I'm coming right back down and going in. So we're making petals on our flowers. Oops, that one didn't tighten. There we go. So you can make flowers. Go all the way around and make a flower. What do you want to do? What do you want this to look like when you're done? That's what you have to... Hi, Courtney. Thank you, Donna. How do you want this to look when you're done? The more detail you add... Now you can buy pre-embroidered little flowers and stuff and glue them on or sew them on. But how do you want this to look when you're done? I'm going to cut all this off. How do you want it to look? That's what I keep saying. How do you want your doll to look? Now, like I said, when I start doing a doll or any stuffed animal that I'm not doing for a customer, because when I do something for a customer, I ask them, what do you want? How do you want it? What color hair? You know, all the details. What color dress? Now, most of the time, they're memory items that, you know, and the customer supplies the fabric. So the shoes we did yesterday, the baby shoes. Now this is 2 coats. 2 coats. And this is Nutmeg Brown by Apple Barrel. Let's see, it needs another coat. But I took that grungy little baby shoe, and look, I gave it new life. So you can take these laces if you're doing a really primitive doll. I would just use these laces. I mean, they've got all kinds of patina on them. You don't have to coffee stain these. You can put ribbon in these. You can take each section of the shoe and paint it differently. Now, we're going to do these shoes on another video. But I'm going to do this band around the shoe, a color. We're going to put fabric, with a Mod Podge fabric, on this outside from the eyelets over. So we're going to do these shoes. And I'm going to put them on my scarecrow that I'm doing. Yeah, so when I find these baby shoes, I usually pay about $5 a pair. Now, like I said yesterday, the size 0 is a really good size to, a really good size. Let me get a doll here that doesn't have big feet. See, I do a lot of my scarecrows with that foot. Do I have a leg? Yeah, I have a leg. Now, this is a smaller doll, so this is going to be really too big, but look at that. Now, even the doll that we made, these shoes are too big for, but they would look really cute on her. But look how cute that is. So let's get her. So there's that leg. That's a smaller doll. But let's get one of her size, because see, the size of the foot is much different. But I would use these shoes on that doll. But look how cute they would be on her. So when you find these, for me, $5 a pair is great. If you watch the online auctions, I got a whole box of these for like, with shipping was like 30 bucks. Some of them only had one shoe, which I was kind of disappointed, but I'm going to use them for pool toys. But yeah, find these little shoes. Yeah, because the ones that I should have brought one in here. The ones that I have just one shoe of from that lot that I bought from the auction. Thank you, Teresa. I use wooden spools, put them on the bottom, and make pool toys. So the Scarecrow is going to have a pool toy made out of an old shoe. And he's going to wear old shoes. Oh, you do, Donna? I do too. But, you know, you can't always find these, but you can take one of these, hold paper up to it, and make a pattern, and make your own shoe. So I've done that too. So these need one more coat, but we're going to put fabric on these, and we're going to put them on Scarecrow's foot. So, what else? Oh, the doll weight. You can buy plastic pellets, and that's what they're called, doll weight. You can use those. That's what I use. You can use aquarium gravel. You can use the half marbles, like these things. You can use these. You can use pea gravel. You can get a big bag of that. Buckwheat hulls. You can buy walnut hulls. The buckwheat and the walnut hulls gives your doll a really nice smell. You can scent your doll when you're stuffing her by putting cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, whatever you want inside of her. You can grunge your fiber fill, let it dry, and then stuff your doll. Your doll will have a really nice smell. Do y'all remember the Hershey Bear that was out? Oh, let's see, my son's 44 years old, so it has to be at least 40 years old. It smelled like chocolate. The fiber fill is what was scented. So, you know, just don't use food in your doll. Don't use rice, don't use beans, because you will regret it. Your doll will get bugs. Is there any other questions? So you can paint your little grungy baby shoes when you find them. Usually the grungier they are, the cheaper you can get them. You remember that bear? Yeah, my son had that bear. He loved that bear. He went around sniffing it all the time. But that's how they scented the bear. They scented the fiber fill, let it dry, or however they scented it, I don't know. But you can use your coffee grunge on your fiber fill, but it has to be completely dry. How do I what fiber fill? How do you bring fiber fill? I don't understand, Donna. To scent your fiber fill, what do you want to scent it with? How do you want your doll to smell? I don't. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Brenda. I don't scent my fiber fill because you know, I don't know what people are allergic to. But if I was making this for myself and I wanted her to have a scent, they make really nice air fresheners. Grunge. The grunge recipe is a couple posts below this one on my page. it's instant coffee, hot water, cinnamon. I use cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, vanilla. That's grunge. When I'm just doing my fabrics, like I did her muslin, I just use plain coffee. So I'll do a whole bolt of muslin at one time and just do just plain coffee. But that's what her face is, just plain coffee. So let me get a piece of muslin here so you can see the difference. This is not grunge, and this is just plain coffee. So if you're going to dry your fabric in an oven, it's 200 for 5 minutes, and don't leave your fabric, because if you do, put it on cookie sheets or on parchment. If you put it on cookie sheets or aluminum foil, you're going to get scorch marks. And that's good if you want a real primitive doll, but your fabric will burn in the oven. So every 5 minutes, check it. I set a timer because I get distracted very easy. So I set a timer every 5 minutes, and I keep checking it. But 200 degrees. But their grunge recipe is a couple posts below this one. Oh, you're welcome, Donna. And I'll repost that. After we're done today, I will put that at the top of the page again. So if you want any of the patterns, they're on Telegram. And that link is at the top of the page. I've posted that several times this week. And you can print off all the patterns from there. Oh, you're welcome. So yeah, a lot of people don't know that you can scent your fiberfill, but you can. I don't normally because of allergies. Like, I didn't realize a lot of people are allergic to cinnamon. So if you don't like cinnamon, you're allergic to it, go with nutmeg. Instead of vanilla, you can use any of the scents like coconut. I've used coconut. It smelled absolutely fabulous. So if you're making a doll that's dressed in lemon fabric, use lemon scent, the extracts in your grunge. Hi, Barb. So, is there any other questions? If you think of something after today, after we finish, my WhatsApp is below every post. Just shoot me a message. Maple. Yes, maple would be great, especially this time of the year. Everybody says use vanilla, but I've used all the extracts. And you can use the candy extracts for the, if you want something different. But vanilla smells really good. The lemon smells good. I've used coconut. That was excellent because I ran out of vanilla, so I had a little bit of coconut and threw that in. Oh, I wanted to drink it. So, there's a tip for the little shoes. We finished her up. Now, when you're making a doll and you're selling her or you're making her peppermint, yes, that would be fabulous too. Christmas, your Santas, all snowmen, all of that in peppermint, yes. Turn them over and take a fine point marker. Where's mine at? I have stuff everywhere. I've been fighting this one bear for 2 days. I finally got it done. A real fine point. Real fine point. And sign your doll. I always put Apple Dolly. And then I put my name. And I put the year. So, sign your dolls. Because if somebody is looking for you, that bought something from you. You can even put a contact number or a web page, but sign your dolls. Good. Yes, you should, Barb. We all should sign our items. It doesn't matter if it's a picture frame, sign the back of it. If it's a Mod Podge project, sign the back of it. You're on your third one. You're going to have to show pictures so we can see. So this has a round head. This just has a long rectangle. So if you look at your dolls, you can change the pattern that I gave you. See, that's a rectangle. So instead of doing the round head, put a rectangle on the top. Just redraw the head to be a rectangle. So that one is Frankie. So I showed how to, did I show how to do this nose? A raised nose? I don't think I did. Let me grab my thread. I seriously got to clean this table off. You want to use a real heavy button thread, rug thread it's called. There's different names. You want to use a double layer of thread. So this is good on a lot of primitive dolls. Have a nose, a raised nose. Oh, you did? Oh, you did a skeleton. I want to see that one. I'm working on, I found at work, those of you who don't know, I work at U-Haul. I take care of the storage units, and we have a really large facility. So we have a donation center where people can leave things. Somebody left a red wool top hat. That's what I'm using for my skeleton. So we're going to say here's eyes and here's our nose. Okay, can you see that? Yes. So how wide do you want your nose? Where did Frankie go? So Frankie has a real narrow raised nose. See that? Real narrow. But you can do them really wide. So there's our center mark. So we're coming over here. You decide how wide you want your nose to be. So can you see how wide this is going to be? With your thread, come in the back of the head and come out. You have to wiggle your needle till you come out at the top of one of those lines. Well, we don't want the marker involved. Well, I'm getting tangled on everything here. Okay, see? I went in, and I pulled the thread. See? There's no knot on the back. I pulled the thread to come completely through his head. See how I'm holding my thread? Now at the top of this line, I'm going in, and I'm coming out. There is just a couple of threads between this, where this one came out, and this one's going in. Can you see that? I should have used the colored thread. So really close to where this one is, I'm going back through and coming out that side. And I always let my finger be inside the loop. That way you don't get your threads like that. So see I have those? And I'm pulling. I'm pinching that fabric. Oh, we got blurry. Let me pull back. And I'm holding my thread up here. So I'm going back across, picking up that line. Wait a minute, I'm going to cut this. We're going to do this. It's not puckering right. Let me do that again. Okay. I'm going in the back of the head. I caught myself doing something wrong. So see, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing this, you will do something wrong. I'm holding my thread. I'm coming below that stitch. So I came out here and I'm going right below it. I know some of you are saying, oh, she's doing that wrong. And nobody said anything. So I'm holding my thread and I'm going back. You want to go back and forth, but you want to go back and forth under your fabric. So when you pull this, it pinches it. Hold it, come down below this one, and go underneath your fabric. See that? And pull it. And that's how you get that pinched look. Now you can do a really wide nose. You can do a real skinny nose like Frankie has there. I think I did that Frankenstein on last year in an event. See how it's raising? And I pull my thread up and hold it because I don't want it in my way. Because if you're doing hand sewing, it gets in your way sometimes. And this camera gets in my way because it's on the front of me. I like this camera stand, this camera thing I wear, so you all can see really close. But sometimes it's a hindrance too because I can't see. So how long do you want your nose to be? See how that's raising up? So that's why I draw guide lines, so I can keep it straight. Because it would be very easy to give this a crooked nose. And a crooked nose will look nice if you're doing a witch doll. So just pull it really tight. So that's why you have to use heavy duty thread, because you're pulling this really tight. Hi, Kayla. No, it's not a new way. It's just, you know, I started it out wrong. But this is how you do a raised nose. So you can do like a real primitive doll. You can make it really wide and it would protrude really far off her face. And then when you got it as long as you want it, make sure it's pulled really tight, because when you pull it tight, your stitches go up underneath of that raised area. So when you got it as tight as you want, take your needle back to the back of your doll and pull it and knot it. Because all of this back here is not going to be seen, because you're going to have hair, you're going to have a hat, a scarf, something. A mouth. Let me knock this off. You want a raised mouth, Barb? Is that what you want, a raised mouth? Hi, Julie. Oh, that's fine. Yours replay. It'll be on my YouTube. Is that what you want, Barb, a raised mouth? So let's just give him a straight line. You want it curved, just do a little curve. Yep, that's dark enough for you to see. Now my thread, I did not cut. I knotted it, I did not cut. Go back in and come out at the top of whatever shaped mouth you drew. And you're doing the same thing. Going underneath and picking up. I hope this is what you wanted to know. And we're going back and forth, picking up little bits, going back and forth. And pull it. Now I have seen eyes done like this, like long slit eyes. That was really nice, but it was, what kind of a doll was that? I forget what it was. It was like a Halloween doll. Oh, I normally do stick myself. I wonder why I even have fingerprints, because I burn myself and I stick my fingers so much. I probably changed my fingerprints from what they originally were. So see? Is that what you wanted to know, Barb? So I'm doing the same thing as I did, going back and forth. So Stuart's Rustic Design, she just started a page. I put a link. It's yesterday? Day before. If you're not following her, go give her some love so we can get her page started. She does some really nice things. So I pulled this really tight, and look, I'm giving him a dimple. So if you want to make a doll, you don't want to make the body, shoot me a message. I will sell you this doll. I'll sell you this doll. I have them all sizes. I even have life size. The first life size doll I made, I had my store, and there's a Catholic thrift shop across the street from my store. And when they got something unusual in, they would call me because they knew I'd buy it. They got these old people clothes in. And when you looked at them, you know old people wore them. And I bought all these old suits that was a man's. And I bought these, what they used to call house dresses. And I made Grandma and Grandpa life-size dolls. I scared my son to death. I took them home to work on them. They were sitting on the dining room table. I had him sitting in the chairs at the table, and he came in at night and saw somebody sitting at the table. Scared him to death. The lights were out, and all he saw was somebody sitting there. Oh, he had an old man's hat on. I found an old gray wig that I put on her. She had stockings that, you know how the old ladies sometimes they were gathered around the ankle and they wore garters. Well, she had that. I had them sitting in a double rocker in my store window for the longest time. But when I was making them, scared him to death. That was the second time I scared my son to death. First time was the very first vacuum cleaner I made. The cover, I had it on my vacuum cleaner because I was working on it from home. And I left it on the vacuum cleaner, and I went to bed in the middle of the living room. He came out of the kitchen into the living room, and there it stood. He was ready to kill me. So look, he's got dimples. Oh, they grow so fast. That's the problem with having little ones. They grow way too fast. Tony is now a great grandpa. So, Barb, I hope that's what you was talking about. If not, shoot me a message. Thank you. And I'll figure it out. Yeah, I love those dimples. So I'm going to give him rosy cheeks just like her, just to highlight those dimples. So thank you all for attending. If you want a doll body, you don't want to make your doll, let me know what size doll you want, what shape your head you want, whether it's the rectangle or round. And it is bittersweet. It really is. I kept my kids' baby clothes for years because I couldn't part with them. That's why I started doing baby clothes quilts. So, there you go. Big feet, regular feet, different shoes, different clothes. So, God bless you all. I really mean when I say I love you. I appreciate you hanging in with me all week. I hope I've taught you something. If there's something else that you think you want to see, let me know and we'll do it. But there she is, our little girl. Thanks, Donna. Restrain yourself. Thanks, Jody. I'm glad you did. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. Have a wonderful weekend. This is Memorial Day. Weekend I just found out because it's on Monday. I didn't know that. I never keep up with stuff anymore. But there you go. Have a great weekend. Oh, I'm glad, Kayla. You're welcome, Stella. Thanks, Ronnie. Thanks, Julie. I'm praying for you. Hey, everybody, pray for Julie. Thanks, Mom. We don't need to know why. God knows that's all that matters. Have a great weekend. See, we even learned to do fingers. Oh, thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Thanks, Barb. God bless you.